I built the ultimate AI dental clinic receptionist using this ElevenLabs N8N. This AI receptionist can answer all incoming calls, provide detailed information about the clinic services, and even schedule appointments directly in Google Calendar, completely replacing a $30,000 per year employee. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can build it step by step. Plus, I will also show you how you can sell it to medical clinic owners for thousands of dollars each. So by the end of the video, you will know exactly how you can build it and how to sell it. So if that sounds interesting, let's get started.
Now the first thing you have to do is to go over to ElevenLabs/agents, which I will leave a link for in the description below, and then come over here to the top right of the page and sign up for a completely free account. And once you do that, you will be brought over in this interface over here. Now the first thing that you have to do is to navigate over here in the build section and then simply click on agents. And this is going to bring you over in this section over here, where you can see all the agents that you have generated inside ElevenLabs. But since for this example we're going to create a brand new agent, all you have to do is to simply come over here, click on new agent. Now you have to select whether you want this agent to be a personal assistant or a business agent. Since we're going to use this to help people in the business, you obviously have to come over here and select business agent. Over here we need to select the industry that our agent is going to operate in, which for our example is going to be dental clinics. So make sure you actually come over here and select healthcare and medical. And then since this agent is mainly going to be an answering service, come over here and select answering service. And now is the fun part where we need to name our agent. So for this example, I will name it dental agent, since that is going to be its purpose. Then over here, you have the option to put a website URL, which ElevenLabs is actually going to crawl and retrieve all the relevant information that it has inside it. So then your agent can recall all this information if he gets asked a specific question about it. So if you already have a client and they have a website, make sure you come over here and you paste in their website URL. And then you simply need to describe the main goal of this agent. Now for this example, I will simply say this agent is going to be used to answer phone calls from potential customers. And then I will come over here and click on create agent. And boom, after we clicked on create, it brings us over in this interface over here, where we can see our agent's language. As you can see, it is English. Obviously, if you're building your agent for a different language, come over here and select the language you want. You can also add in additional languages as well. And then over here, we need to specify our agent's first message. As you can see right now, it is saying, thanks for calling. How can I help you today? I will actually come over here and say, thanks for calling the Bright Tooth Dental Clinic. How can I help you today? And as you can see, I basically inputted the name of the business that we're building the agent for. Obviously, if you're building this agent for a different business, make sure you actually input the name over here. And what I'm also going to do is I will come over here and disable interruptions during this first message, which means when our agent picks up the phone, it is going to say this first message regardless of whether the other person in the line tries to interrupt him or not. Then after that, we have the system prompt, which is the most important part of our build, because over here it's basically the place where we're going to tell our AI agent exactly what it needs to do. But as you can see, ElevenLabs has already filled this in for us based on the description that we inputted before. But don't worry, because I have already customized this for you. So all you have to do is simply come over here and delete the message that ElevenLabs will have created for you, and then simply paste this message, which is the one that I have personally customized. And you can find it inside my free school community, for which the link for it will be in the description below. And as you can see, what we're basically doing over here is we're telling it exactly what personality it needs to adopt, exactly what actions it needs to take. Also, we specify the tone of the agent, and we also tell it its goal, which is to provide excellent customer support by accurately answering customer questions based on actual data that we're going to give it access to later on, and also to go and book the appointments. Over here, I also give it some guardrails. I basically tell it to remain within the scope of company products. I tell it to never share customer data across, and a bunch of other things. And then we have the most important section of this message, which is the tools section, because over here we're basically going to tell our voice agent in ElevenLabs exactly what tools it should call and when it should call them, so it can fulfill all of its functions. And before we come over here and we make any change to this section, what we need to do is to scroll all the way down here to where you will be able to see the tools section. And specifically what we need to do is to come over here and add in a custom tool. So simply come over here, click on add tool, and then click on add new webhook tool. Now I simply need to give this a name. I will name it dental, since that is what this tool is going to be for. And if you haven't understood it yet, this is how we're going to be able to connect our AI agent that we're building right now in ElevenLabs with a backend automation that we're going to build in N8N, so the voice agent can go and perform all the actions that we want. Specifically, going looking inside the Google Calendar to find available times, booking events, and also being able to retrieve relevant data that we have in the company. So that is why we're adding in a webhook tool to basically be able to connect ElevenLabs with N8N. And then we have the description where we need to tell ElevenLabs exactly when it should be calling this tool. So I will simply come over here and say, call this tool every time you need to book an event on a Google Calendar, to check availability for available events, and also to retrieve information about the company's services and history. Then we have the method, where as you can see right now it is on get. But what we need to do is to come over here and change this over to post. And then we need to go over to N8N, create a brand new workflow, and then come over here and add in our first step, which is going to be a webhook, because that is how we're going to be able to connect ElevenLabs with an automation that we're going to build over in N8N. So all we have to do right here is to change the HTTP method from get over to post, since if you remember that is the type of request we're using in ElevenLabs as well. And then simply come over here and click on top of this URL in order for you to copy it in your clipboard, and then come back over to ElevenLabs and simply paste it in over here. Then we have the response timeout, which is basically how long the agent is going to wait before timing out. I would actually advise you to max this out, so put it at 120 seconds. And then we have a bunch of other settings that you don't really need to change, except for the headers over here, where you need to come and click on add header, then change this from secret to value, and then over here for in the name, come over here and type content type, exactly as I have typed it over here, and then for the value, type in application/JSON, again exactly as you see it over here. Now don't worry about understanding this. This is basically telling a webhook exactly how it is going to receive the data. You don't really have to understand this, just make sure you actually follow it. This is basically just how both softwares are gonna transfer the data back and forth. And then the last part, which is the most important part, which is the body parameters, in which we basically need to tell ElevenLabs everything that we want to send over in our backend in N8N, so then we can give it to our AI agent so it can go and perform all the actions that we actually want. So for the description, I will come over here and type, send over exactly what the user wants to do. Does he want to book an event? Does he want information about a company? Send over all of this in this request. And then what we need to do is to simply come over here, make sure this is on string and give it a name. Let's say this is going to be called the request. Let's make this required. And we also need to come over here and type in a description about this, which is basically going to be exactly the same. So I will copy this and paste this over here. And now we're basically done configuring this custom tool. So all we have to do is to simply come over here, click on add tool. And as you can see, our tool has successfully been added over here. I would also advise you to come over here and give your agent the ability to end calls, since if the other user is not talking, you definitely don't want it to just keep running and you want it to be able to end the call. So make sure you also enable this. And now it's time we scroll all the way back up and we come back over here to where we left off, which is the tool section, because what we need to do right now is to basically tell ElevenLabs exactly when it needs to call the tool that we just created. So as you can see, I'm saying tools, and then what we need to do is to type in the name of our tool, which if you remember, we have actually named dental. That's why I will simply come over here and say dental, and then I say call this tool every time you need to check available times and book appointments, and every time someone asks you about information about the company and the services. Then I also tell it this tool is going to send you back a response. Make sure you take the response and actually speak it to the person that you're having a call with. And I also gave it some extra instructions. I told it when you're checking something, don't leave the person waiting, just tell him let me go and check the available times, for example. And then I also told it that it might need to recall the tool multiple times, once to retrieve relevant events in the calendar, and then again to go and create an event. And remember guys, you will not have to write this full prompt yourself. It is going to be inside my free school community, to which you can find a link in the description below. And now that we're done basically configuring all the settings, we can simply come over here and click on save. But we cannot save yet because we haven't added in a thinking budget, which is basically how many reasoning tokens the models can use before responding. So what I'm actually going to do is to disable this because we don't want it to have a limit. We want it to be able to reason as much as it needs to. And now we can come over here and click on save. And boom, as you can see, all of our changes are saved. Now there are obviously more settings that you can experiment with. For example, you can change the LM model. You can also come over here to the top and also change the voice our voice agent is going to have. You can select from a bunch of different voices that ElevenLabs has access to. I will actually go with Jess for this example because I like her voice, and I will click on save. And now it's time we go and we test this agent. So to do that, we will simply come over here, click on test AI agent, and then just need to come over here and click on call AI agent. But before we actually speak to the agent, what we need to do is to first come back over in our N8N interface and make sure we execute this workflow. So this webhook actually expects to receive data from ElevenLabs, and then we can come back over to ElevenLabs and click on call AI agent.
Thanks for calling the Bright Tooth Dental Clinic. How can I help you today?
Hey, I want to book an appointment for today at 5 p.m.
Sure, let me go and check the available times. Wait one moment. I have initiated the workflow to book your appointment for today at 5.
And we don't care about what it says right now, because if we come back over to N8N and we open up a webhook, we can see that we do in fact have an output over here, which means that we successfully managed to connect our ElevenLabs agent with a backend automation that we're now going to build over in N8N. If I actually scroll all the way down here, we can see the exact request that the user, which is me, asked for, which is to book an appointment for today at 5 p.m. And now that we have this, let me actually come over here and pin this data so I don't have to rerun this. If something goes wrong, it is time we go and we build our AI agent. So to do that, we obviously have to come over here, select AI, and then come over here and select AI agent. Now the first thing that we need to do is to come over here in the source for prompt and change this from connect to chat trigger node to define below, which is going to open up the user message, which is basically the box where we are going to tell our AI agent exactly what we want it to do. So let me turn this into an expression and open this up so you guys can take a better look at it, and I will come over here and type this prompt over here. Now don't worry, because this prompt is going to be included in the JSON file inside my school community as well, so you can go and download it from there. But just to give you a quick overview, I'm saying this is the user's request, and what I will do is I will take in the request schema that we have and drag and drop it over here so our AI agent has access to that information. Then I say you have access to 3 tools: the Google Calendar Get Many Events tool. I explain to it exactly how it should use it. Then I also tell it you have access to the Google Calendar Create an Event tool, and I also tell it exactly how it should use it. Then I say the time is, and what I need to do is to simply type in now, because AI agents don't actually know the current date and time. And if you don't actually give it access to this information, it is very likely to go and book your events for like 2023 or 2022. That's why it is always very useful to give it access to the current date and time. And then I also tell it that it has access to the Google Docs tool, which you can use to retrieve information about the company. And I will show you exactly how we're going to configure all 3 of these different tools in a bit. But for now that we're finished with our prompt over here, again, the full prompt is going to be inside the free school. Let's close this off and let's come over here and add in our chat model first. And for the model, I will actually choose to go with OpenAI. Now the first thing that you have to do over here is to come and select your OpenAI credentials. If you don't have credentials, simply come over here, click on create new credential, and you need to come over here and input your API key. For which to find, you need to go over to platform/OpenAI/API keys. I will leave a link for it in the description below as well. And then simply come over here, click on create new secret key, give this brand new key a name. I will name it name, for example, and then I will come over here, click on create new secret key, and boom, this is a brand new API key. So all we have to do now is to simply come over here and copy it and come back over to N8N and paste it in over here. And now I will simply come over here and click on save, and boom, as you can see, our credentials were successfully created, which means that we can come over here and select them. And for the model, I will leave this on GPT 4.1 mini. So now let's close this off, and let's also come over here and give it access to some memory. We're going to use some simple memory for this example. All we have to do here is to change the trigger, the connect to chat trigger node to define below, and then over here for the key, what I'm actually going to do is I will use the X-Real IP schema, because that is unique to each caller. What this basically is going to do is it is going to remember the conversation that I had with each unique caller, which is honestly super useful so it doesn't ask repetitive questions. And I will also increase the context window length to 50, which means that it's going to remember the last 50 messages of that conversation, and I will simply come over here and close this off. And now what we need to do is to add in all the tools that were specified in a prompt over here. So to do that, I will first come over here and let's start with the Google Calendar tool. Specifically, let's start with the Create an Event tool. So obviously, first of all, come over here, select your Google Calendar credentials. If you don't have credentials, it will take you like 5 minutes to set them up. There are multiple videos on the internet about how you can do that with N8N. So make sure you go and watch one of those and then you can come back over in this video. On tool description, leave this on set automatically, resource event, operation, make sure this is on create. Then simply come over here and select the Google Calendar that you want. Then for the start time, we will fill this in with AI. For the end time, we will also fill this in with AI. And what I also advise you to do is to come over here and add in a field, which is going to be the description, which is going to be filled in with AI as well. And let's also come over here and add in a summary, which is basically the title of the event, but inside N8N it's called summary for some reason. I honestly have no idea why, but also fill this in with AI. And if you're wondering, inside this prompt over here, I'm basically specifying to my AI agent exactly what to put both in the description and in the summary, which is to put the person's name and phone number in the description, and in the summary, which is the title, to put in the reason why the person wants to book an appointment. Maybe the tooth is hurting, maybe they want to perform a dental surgery, maybe something else. Basically, why that person wants to book that appointment. So now if we close this off, we have successfully managed to create one of our 3 tools, which is the Create an Event tool. Now what we need to do is to also come over here and create the Get Many Events in Google Calendar tool. So make sure you come over here and you search for Google Calendar tool, then come over here and change the operation to Get Many, and come over here and select the calendar that you want to get events from. We will basically fill everything in with AI. Alright, so now that we did that, we have successfully configured this tool as well, and it's time we go add in our third and final tool, which is going to be the Google Docs tool. And I'm using the Google Docs tool because I have all of this data about this supposed dental clinic inside of Google Docs, and I want my AI agent to be able to retrieve it and give accurate information based on this data. Obviously, if you're using a different method to store data, go and add that method in and just slightly change up the system prompt. But for our example, since we're using Google Docs, what I'm going to do is I will come over here in this Google Doc, I will click on share, I will copy the link, and I will also make sure this is available to anyone with a link, and then I will come back over to N8N on operation. We'll change this from create to get, and then we will simply come over here and paste in the link we just copied. So now we have also successfully managed to create the Google Docs tool as well. And the last thing that I would actually advise you to do, this step is optional, but I think it is very useful to do, is to come over here and add in a fourth tool. But this is not going to be a tool that is going to do something unique. It is basically going to be the Think tool, because what the Think tool does is it tells the AI agent to pause, take a moment, and rethink of the response that it's going to give you, which indeed does make it give you a better response. That's why I would strongly advise you to also add this tool into your AI agent. And now we're basically done configuring our AI agent. The last thing we need to do inside this N8N automation is to simply come over here and add in a respond to webhook node, because that is how we're going to be able to send the response that our agent gives us back in our ElevenLabs interface. So to do that, I will simply come over here and change this from first incoming item to all incoming items. And I also need to come over here in our webhook, open it up, and change the respond parameter from immediately to using a respond to webhook node, because if we do not make this change, the respond to webhook node is not going to be able to work. So make sure you don't forget that and you actually make this change as well. And then the last thing that we need to do is to switch over to the production URL, click on top of it to copy it in your clipboard, and then also come over here and set this automation to active. Click on got it, and boom. Right now, our AI agent over here is literally active. Let me also come over here and unpin this data and save it. So now we're basically good to go. All we have to do is to come back over in our ElevenLabs interface, scroll all the way down to where we have our tool, which is over here in the custom tool section, click on top of it, and just come over here and change the webhook URL we have given it before to the brand new production URL we just copied, because the previous one was just the test URL. And since we have set our automation live, we need to use the production URL. So make sure you come over here, you click on save, and then you can close this off. And we can finally go and test out our finished AI dental clinic receptionist. So to do that, we simply come over here, we click on test AI agent. And while I'm speaking with it, I will also show you my calendar over here, just so you see all the empty time slots and whether the agent is going to be able to go and create the event in our calendar. So let's come over here, call it, and figure that out.
Thanks for calling the Bright Tooth Dental Clinic. How can I help you today?
Hey, I want to book an appointment for today at 6 p.m.
I have checked the schedule for today, and there is already an appointment booked at 6 p.m. However, I can see that the time slot from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. is still available. May I proceed to book your appointment for 7 p.m. instead? Also, could you please provide me with your full name and phone number to complete the booking? Thank you.
I can do 7 p.m. My name is Damian and my phone number is 698-23001.
Thank you, Damien. Your appointment for today at 7 p.m. has been successfully booked. If you have any other questions or need further assistance, please feel free to ask. We look forward to seeing you then.
Sure, I do have one more question.
Of course, I'm here to help. What is your question?
What kind of services are you actually offering in the dental clinic?
Thank you for your interest in the services offered at our dental clinic. Brightbite Dental Clinic provides a range of playful yet professional dental care options, including standard cleaning, which is a routine cleaning with plaque removal, polishing, and a motivational talk on dental hygiene. We also offer cavity patchwork, which is a filling procedure humorously called tooth renovation. For urgent needs, we have emergency tooth rescue, a 24-hour service for sudden toothaches and dental emergencies. If you're looking to improve your smile, we offer smile styling. You're most welcome. If you have any more questions or need further assistance, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, goodbye. And boom, as you can see guys, the voice agent did exactly what we wanted it to do. And if we also come back over to N8N and we click on the executions tab, we will be able to see all of his executions, specifically the first execution over here, in which it retrieved information about available events, then the execution where it went and it created a brand new event in a Google Calendar for the exact time that we told it, which was 7 p.m, and the last execution as well, in which it went and retrieved all the relevant information that we had inside a Google Doc and returned it as a response to us. So this was the entire build, guys. Again, you will be able to find all the assets inside my free school community, which I have left a link for in the description below. And now it's time that I actually go and show you how I would personally go about selling a system like this to different dental clinics. So what I would do to sell this app is I would go over to an app like Apollo, which is basically a massive lead database that includes leads from many different sectors, and I will actually come over here and search for the specific target customer that I'm looking for, which in our case is dental clinic owners. So I would simply come over here and search for dental clinics, and I'll click on enter, and this is going to return us a list of dental clinics with also access to their email address. Then I would also advise you to come over here and filter for job titles as well, because you want people that are only higher up in the company, because they are the ones that have the decision making power, and also target a very specific location. Ideally, it needs to be a Western country, either United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Sweden, etc. Basically countries in which people have money to spend. And then I would also advise you to filter for employee size and target specifically companies that are anywhere from 1 to 100 people, because more than 100 people, it's gonna be very hard for them to trust you, and they tend to work with more established brands. So once you input all those filters, then simply come over here and export all of these Apollo leads, including their emails, and then go over to instantly and set up a cold email campaign, specifically targeting the leads that you just downloaded, and just leave it to run for some days and wait for any replies. And once somebody replies to you, then you need to conduct a discovery call. But I have a fully detailed cold email course inside my paid school community where I show you how to do this full process, from the initial strategy you need to follow, to how you can find the leads, how you can start the campaign, then to how to conduct the discovery call and get the client to agree to a deal there and then how to onboard them, deliver the work, and a bunch of other useful things that you need to know in order for you to be able to sell this successfully. So if you want to get access to that, along with access to all of my other courses, where I show you how you can sell automations like this by also using Upwork and by building an audience on YouTube and on Instagram and leveraging that audience and selling your automations to them, plus get access to my 100-day roadmap in which I told you exactly what actions you need to take every day in order for you to land your first high-paying AI and automation customers, plus get access to all the exclusive N8N builds that I have only inside my community, along with access to the series where I build my own AI SaaS and I document the full process, and also get access to a community of more than 140 members that are interested in AI and most importantly making money with it, make sure you click the link in the description and you come and check out my paid school community, to where you will be able to find all of this content. But also YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this video, in which I built a similar AI voice agent using just ElevenLabs N8N. So make sure you go and watch that next, and I will see you over there.